Доброе утро, good morning, good evening to everyone. And we are about to start our third class with Venerable Gyelse about what the Buddha really meant. And please turn on your cameras. Please take a cup of tea or something to have a wonderful an hour and a half with us together. And did you start doing your homeworks? Did you start doing other, like reading notes, something? Who did? Could you just put number one in chat? If you did, if you started something. Oh, Natasha Loginova is already, she started. Oh, who else? And we started our study group in Russian. So probably somebody would like to do it in English or Vietnamese. It's just cool to study together. If you would like to study with your karmic partner to help them do their homeworks, it would be great. It helps you to go through the course and finish it. So if you would like to join Russian speaking group, please contact us and let us know. There is a link in the Telegram chat. If you would like to do it in other languages, just type in the chat that I would like to study with somebody and make a group. It would be nice. Please turn on your cameras and let's start the course. Venerable else? This mic is yours. Could you please pin? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. And I'd like to also encourage you to study together. It's a really enriching way to study because it's like a group mind rather than an individual mind. And, this is hard material. And therefore, by studying together, then you have all these different minds working on it to try and understand it. And I think that's really helpful. I have this friend who I talk with every Sunday, and we have like a 2 hour discussion about these ideas and how do they really work? Why do they really work? Are they true? Aren't they true? How do we use them in our life? So it's really, I would like to encourage you to do that as well. The other thing I want to say is don't count on these classes being an hour and a half long. They may go to 2 hours. When Geshe Michael taught them, they were between 2 and 3 hours long. So there's so much material. And so if you can stay past the hour and a half, if class goes on that long, I really encourage you to do that. There's a lot of material. I'm trying to present it so that it's digestible and so that's understandable that we can chew on it and it won't give us a tummy ache, right? And sometimes that takes a little bit of time to do that. So please hang in there with me. And thank you, Kadrin, for confirming this is class 3 because I have so much going on. This morning, I sat at my computer. It was like, how many classes have I taught already? And I decided this was the third class too, so I'm glad someone else is keeping track of it as well. So thank you. So without further ado, let me share my screen and move a little bit of participants I can see onto my top screen. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, so let's close our eyes for a minute. Think about the world as you perceive it now. And then think about how you would like your world to look. The world that is perfect for you and for all the beings in your world. Let's offer that mandala, that perfect world. Sashi Puki Juxing Meito Drum Rirab Lingji Nyende Gempa Di Little Low Sange Shingdu Mikte Ulwargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Chipar Sho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. And then to really set our motivation today, why we're here, who we're asking help for or from, um, and how we're going to plant the seeds for that. Sange Chudam Soke Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kyabsu Chi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Penchir Sange Drupar Sho Sange Chudam Soki Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chunyen Gipe Sunam Ki Drola Penchir Sange Drupar Sho Sange Chudam Soki Chuknam La Jangchu Pardu Dakni Kyapsu Chi Daki Chunyen Kipe Suna Ki Drola Penchir Sange Drupar Sho. So I hope all of you were able to join us for the festivities last night here in Arizona, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the mixed nuts or diamond cutter classics, right? But prior to diamond cutter classics, prior to mixed nuts, Geshe Michael was translating all of this material for us. And in fact, he really still is. They are translators in training. And I just want to take a moment for us to remember that and Send some gratitude that way. Send some gratitude to Geshe for putting these classes together since 19, I don't know, 90 something, I think. I didn't meet him until 96, and these classes were already happening then. So a long time ago. And he has been committed to doing that out of his love for all of us to bring us out of suffering, right? And he saved this class for the last class. So we hopefully, you have some other classes, what we say in English, under your belt. It means like you're filled with them that help you to put this course into context. So I'm hoping that's the case. So take a moment, let's send some grateful thank yous to Geshe-la. I know we do it all the time, but it never hurts to do it again. Yeah. And it is the Lunar New Year for everybody else, mostly in Southeast Asia, in China, Central Asia, in Mongolia, in Vietnam, in Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, that whole part of the world. So Happy New Year to all of you over these next few days. So where are we? Let's start with that. A reminder of where we're at. We're in Lama Tsongkhapa's Lekshe Ningpo. Say Lekshe Ningpo. Anybody know what Ningpo means? It means heart. Yeah, it means heart. So, and Lekshe is eloquence. So the heart eloquence or the essence of eloquence, right? The heart of something is the essence of it. So eloquence meaning here, something that was taught well. Or we could say taught intelligently or great, right? But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the last four things the Buddha didn't mean. We're going to go over a little bit of the last class because it was so hard and clarify. Do you remember we talked about the Jonampas a little bit? I think I just kind of mentioned them in passing. And we're going to first talk about them more, okay? And clarify what it was that they believed. So they said, there's a typo right there. Lord Buddha was peaking literally. Well, he wasn't peaking, he was speaking. I didn't catch that one. When he spoke of the third turning of the wheel, right? Go back and fix that. In that third turning of the wheel, he meant what he said. What is the example used for that, for Yongdrup, totality, meaning emptiness? It's a code word, right? What is its metaphor in the mind only school? Anybody remember? Thank you. Empty space. And what does empty space mean? It means the simple absence of something which can stop my hand moving through across this room, through this room, right? There's nothing stopping me. Nothing. Right? My hand, your hand, try it. Is there something stopping you? Well, if I go further, there is my screen and it stops me. But between me and that obstruction, it's empty space, right? There's no physical obstruction, nothing to stop your hand. Everything occupies empty space. Now, could I put this glass here if something else was here? No, not possible, right? There's nothing obstructing it, so I can place it here in front of me. Does empty space change? No. When this planet is destroyed and the last atom of this planet moves off into the galaxy, some dust into the galaxy or another galaxy, right? The place where this planet used to be will still be there. It won't have changed a bit, right? So that's one thing they say. He was speaking literally when he spoke the third turning of the wheel. They also said emptiness is a positive thing. So what they're saying is, on one hand, to accept that Lord Buddha meant that when he talked about emptiness, and and then when he described it, it was something positive. So first we're talking about something that is like empty space, and then something that's positive, something that's unchanging, self-standing, and whole, right? Like a physical object, emptiness as a physical object, right? And we do kind of think about that sometimes. Why? Because we think it's self-existent. How can I see emptiness? Can you see something that is empty of any self-existence? Right? We think of it as a positive thing. This is the trap that we get into, right? And of course, Lama Tsongkhapa refutes it, and he says, you are being crazy. How can you say this and then say this? No way. No way to what? Emptiness is a positive thing. Almost like it's a ball or something, some red light out there or something like that. Or even to say that it is your mind, or it's your thinking in your mind, or anything, which there are so many schools that all around us now that are teaching all of these other ideas of what emptiness is. And of course, according to us, as Madhyamikas, they're wrong. And you can't say that emptiness is a positive thing. This is where he's refuting the Jonampas. You need this for your homework. That emptiness is a positive thing, and then say that the Buddha was being literal in the third turning of the wheel. You can't have it either way. or both ways, rather. You can't say that Buddha meant it when he said emptiness is the simple absence of something in the way that space is an absence of something. And then go and say, but emptiness is a positive thing, right? It's self-standing. It's like a big ball, or even to go so far as to say some kind of light that you see in your head. Right? These are all explanations that you get in the yoga traditions and within Tibetan Buddhism, and they're wrong. According to Middle Way, according to Gyelse Kappa, according to Arya Nagarjuna, right? So you can see how can you see how they both can't be right? No, you don't see. One of them has to be wrong, right? If emptiness is a simple lack of self-existence, how can it then be something that is self-existent? Got it? Okay. And if we get it wrong, it's not just a question of two schools disagreeing with each other or two college professors on TV at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, right? Discussing whether this thing is positive or negative. Lama Tsongkhapa, Arya Nagarjuna, Geshe Michael, they all say if you don't get emptiness right in this lifetime, if you don't see it directly in this lifetime, you're going to die and suffer, and you cannot achieve enlightenment. So it's essential to get it right, right? It's essential. If you get it right, your projections change. You may lose this body, but will you die? Will you go out of existence? Will you go out of existence? You can enter a tantric diamond way paradise in this lifetime, but you have to get it right. So it's really not a meaningless question, is it? Do you believe the third turning of the wheel was literal? Literal. Yes. Did Lord Buddha compare emptiness to a simple lack of things in empty space? Yes. And do you also state that emptiness is something positive and self-standing, a ball-like thing? Yes, we do, say the Jonampas. I can't debate with a crazy person. You're contradicting yourself. There's something wrong here. You can't say it's an absence of something and the presence of something at the same time. That is what Lama Tsongkhapa is refuting. He's saying, you can't say that. Makes no sense. You're crazy. I can't talk with you anymore until you make some sense. Okay? So that's the Jongnampas. And check it out. How do we think about things? It's not a useless debate because it's showing us how our own minds think about things. So somebody asked who that picture was. That's Zhong Nampa. And his followers. So basically, Lord Buddha taught 3 cycles of teaching, right? There's at least 2 ways to think about that. You can think about it historically, right? We talked about that a bit, but they don't really work like that. The 3 cycles are 3 different ideas of the nature of things. In the first turning, Lord Buddha taught the 4 Arya truths, the 5 heaps, the 12 doors of sense, the 18 categories of a human being, the 37 components of enlightenment, including the 8-fold Arya path. Right? All that stuff. All of these things have a nature of their own. Do they have a self? No. Do they have a nature of their own? Yes. Do they exist by definition? Yes. So the first turning of the wheel exists by definition or from its own side. Okay. Then that's the first idea. Did we lose our Vietnamese translator? She just disappeared from my screen. There you are. Glad you're back. I'm watching you because I need to time my translation for you. Okay. That didn't work. I'm just playing around with my screen a bit so I can make sure I'm not going too fast. The second turning, the second idea of Lord Buddha was nothing has any nature of its own. Is it different to say a thing has a self? A thing exists by definition. A thing exists truly. A thing exists from its own side. Those 4 things. To say a thing has a self, it exists by definition, it exists truly, and it exists from its own side. All the schools have different ideas about it, whether they're the same or not. When you get up to the highest school, it's all the same thing. To exist from its own side, exist by definition, exist in reality, exist independent of your projections, all the same thing. Impossible. Nothing's like that. In the lower schools, there's a big difference between them. So in the first turning of the wheel, Lord Buddha says, this pen does have a nature of its own. It has Do you remember no ni mepa? It has a nature of its own. Rangit Senikidrupa. It does exist by definition. This thing is a pen by definition, okay? What we have before us is a pen by definition. Lord Buddha said that. First turning of the wheel. And then second turning of the wheel up on Vulture's Peak, where he taught the Heart Sutra type of stuff, which was, that's where he taught it. He gets up and he says, this pen, your nose, your head, your computer, this place, everything you ever see, everything you ever thought, every thought you have, everything in the universe, no nature of its own. I just went in it out of focus there. Oh well. Why did he say it? Right? To freak his students out, he even says they don't even exist. Those things. Mikme, naume, name, chime, lume, yime, sukme, drame. Right? Heart Sutra. Let's see if I can fix my image here. I have to stop my video for a moment. Start my video again. There we go. Nothing exists, nothing you see, nothing you hear, nothing you smell, nothing you taste. I'll slow down. Nothing you think, nothing you touch, nothing exists. And it sounds so sexy, and it's like, and then you start to think, nothing exists in my world. What we call nihilism, right? But it really means that nothing has any nature of its own. Right? So the second turning of the wheel, nothing has any nature of its own from its own side. The third turning, the turning of fine distinctions, is what it's called. Who triggers the third turning of the wheel according to the mind-only school? Who? What triggers it? The Bodhisattva. Dundam Yandak Pak, right? The Bodhisattva here. And what was his question? Lord Buddha, what did you mean? Right? First, you said everything has a self nature. Then you said nothing has a self nature. What are the fine distinctions which Lord Buddha taught? What is he clarifying? What he meant during the second turning of the wheel? He says, oh, don't take me literally. Which is an interesting thing. Can we take Lord Buddha literally when he says he's speaking literally or figuratively? It's an interesting question. But anyway, he says, don't take me literally. I said nothing had any nature of its own. I didn't mean it literally. You have to make distinctions here. I meant it about some things, and I didn't mean it about other things. I didn't mean it at certain times. And Dundam Yangdak Pak thinks, and he says, well, how many different things are you talking about here that you didn't mean it about? Okay. So the third turning of the wheel is the meaning of fine distinctions. Say lekpar, chewe, kinkor. Lekpar, chewe, kinkor. Kinkor. It's a pre-nasal. It's up in your nose. So he says, Lord Buddha says, not the Bodhisattva, I meant it in three completely different ways about three completely different groups of things. Imaginary things is number one, right? Things you make up in your mind, like a rabbit with horns. So someone else give me an example. A purple elephant, an air flower. Okay. When I said nothing had any nature of its own, the first thing I was talking about was imaginary things like a purple elephant or an air flower. That does not exist by definition. And that's what I meant. So are imaginary things only non-existent? Are all kuntaks, constructs, like the purple elephant or the air flower? No. Some exist and others don't. So give me another example of a kuntak which does exist. Tashi, Eiffel Tower, you guys. These two are mental constructs. Okay. So let's take Tashi. Or let's take Tashi. Tashi has 4 limbs and a head. I'm making him human. I'm thinking of them as human. Now, does a dog have 4 legs and a head? Who's making them a dog? We're putting the label on them, right? I'm naming them with my words, and I'm thinking of them in a certain way with my mind. That's a construct. So that's the same as the sky flower, except it exists in my mind. right? The sky flower exists in my mind. The other one I'm projecting outside of me. It's not like I said on the first day, when I first met you, and said, "Oh, you're Anastasia. I can tell," right? And probably the first time I saw you, I didn't get it. And I had to ask again. Oh, yeah, this name. Sorry, I'll slow down. This name belongs to this person. When you think of this person, when you meet this person, you have to imagine them that way. That's imagination. That's Anastasia, or Coke, or car, or house, or arm. They're all concepts, constructs, idealizations. They never change. They're perfect things that exist in your mind. It's a perfect little picture in the mind of me in this school, right? Of my mind, of Anastasia in this school. And they say it does not change. Anastasia can go out of existence and we can say she's not around anymore. And the idea of Anastasia will slowly fade in the world. But while we're here, while we're thinking of them as Anastasia, we're having this mental picture. Perfect Anastasia. And actually, it's impossibly perfect picture that we're having. In the mind-only school, what does it mean to exist by definition? I can see Natasha's typing. They don't have their own nature. Yeah, the thing comes from its own side through its own unique way of being. So in the mind-only school, there are three things that don't have their own nature. Only one of them exists by definition. Remember what that is? We have it right here on the slide. Kuntaks, constructs, right? Now, what are the other two things that Lord Buddha wanted to talk about? So what is the second thing he meant when he said, "Oh, by the way, Bodhisattva, don't worry. The second thing I meant when I said nothing hath a nature of its own was dependent things, shenwangs." Everybody says shenwang. What are they? They are things with causes and conditions, things that come from other things that depend on other things at the mercy of other things. That's what shenwang means. So, what did Lord Buddha mean when he said those things don't have a nature of their own? Did he mean they don't exist somehow? Did he mean somehow they're imaginary, like Kuntaks? No, he meant something totally different. He meant that they don't have a nature of coming, of popping up by themselves. What's that got to do with my life? Why was it such a big deal that Buddha got up on Vulture's Peak and said, by the way, changing things don't have any nature of popping up on their own? What does that have to do with me? Absolutely everything. He's talking about our suffering. Don't we think it just pops up on its own? He said that to me. She said that. They hurt me. It just, where did it come from, right? Our aging, our death, the fact that nothing goes right in our life. That's what he's talking about. The fact that every time something goes well, it eventually messes up. And you're old enough to know that every relationship you ever have, that happens. You were in love and now you're fighting. And then you're in love again, and then you fight, right? Everything. Every good thing you have, you must lose. And where's that coming from? Did it just pop up on itself or by itself? No. Lord Buddha got up on Vulture's Peak and said, changing things don't just happen by themselves. They don't have a nature just happening by themselves. He's trying to teach us how to stop our suffering. Everything has a cause. Fix those causes. You don't have to go through this kind of stuff anymore. That's what he's saying. Do shenwangs, those things that come about by causes, exist by definition? Take a pen. To believe that a pen is called a pen by definition, to believe that a pen is a pen by definition, to believe that this pen is the object of the idea and the name pen by some act of God and not because it's some kind of construct is misunderstanding this school. That's what misunderstanding is here. Believing that it is self-standing and doesn't come from causes and conditions. It is the first link in the wheel of life. The pen is never called pen by definition. So do shenwangs exist by definition? They depend on their causes and conditions, right? So that's the second thing that Lord Buddha meant. Now, the third thing. What's the third thing he meant? He said nothing is ultimate. And what did he mean? He meant a thing doesn't have a nature of being self-existent. And secondly, most things don't have a nature of being what you see when you see emptiness directly. He's talking about emptiness, stated in a positive way. If something qualifies as the object that you see when you see emptiness directly, it is emptiness in this school. That's stated in a positive way. Negatively, if something doesn't qualify as a self-existent thing, if something is the absence of self-existing thing, then it's emptiness in this school. So one is stating it positively and the other is stating it negatively. And that's what I meant when I said the third kind of no nature. So there's certain things that if we were to see them, we'd be free. That's emptiness. They don't have a nature of existing self-existently. You guys are, interpreters are amazing. It's hard enough in English. When Lord Buddha says nothing has a nature, he's talking about imaginary things don't have a nature of being real. So what's the nastiest, the yuckiest imaginary thing in your life? A self-existing thing. We go around every millisecond of our life thinking there's something there that's not. And that causes all the suffering in our life. Okay. In this second turning of the wheel, Lord Buddha said about three things. About those three things, right? Sorry, clarify that. What did he say? None of them has a nature of its own. None of them exists by definition. That's the same thing. But in the third turning of the world, he says, yeah, I did say none of that, of those things, had any nature of its own. But I meant three completely different things. And by the way, out of those three, it's only the first that doesn't exist by definition. What I meant by definition is something different than what I said in the second turning of the wheel. So why are we trying to understand all this? So that we understand exactly all the wrong ideas about emptiness. The subtle wrong ideas we have about emptiness. And then our own understanding of emptiness will become crystal clear, hopefully, by the end. So those three things, Kuntaks, Shenwangs, and Yongdrup, cover everything. Okay. So the second turning of the wheel, he talked about, do you remember we said last class there were 5 characteristics? We covered the first one. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, we're going to then go on to the other 4, okay? So does anyone remember what the first characteristic was? It no ni mepa, right? Nothing has a nature of its own. Yeah. It refers to 3 different ways in which nothing has a nature. Kuntak, Shenwang, and Yongzhou, right? So now we're going to do the other 4. The first one is Makyepa. Nothing has a nature of growing or starting. That's the second one. So nothing in the universe has a nature of growing. Nothing. Let's talk about the sun coming up in the morning, which it's just getting light here. That's a perfect example of Makyepa. Does the sun come up in the morning? Yeah, of course, right? But Lord Buddha in the second turning of the wheel says, it does not come up in the morning. In the mid, okay, I forgot to bring my hats in. I was going to bring my hats in today. In the middle way school, what does that mean when Lord Buddha says the sun doesn't come up in the morning? We're all well trained in middle way. From its own side, right? Independent of our projections. That luminous image driven by our seeds. And when you no longer see it, either you've gone blind or died. Those seeds are not self-existent. Those seeds are not permanent. They're wearing out every time you see the sun come up. It is a result of your seeds. It does not exist from its own side. Makyepa, according to middle way. Okay, let's take that hat off and put the other one on. Mind only. They have a totally different take on it because they say Lord Buddha wasn't speaking literally. When he said nothing starts, you have to interpret it. When he says you are imagining it, it is just a projection of your mind. Would he say it is just a kuntak? We're talking about the sun, right? It heats our whole planet. Like 7 billion people see the same thing. Middle way would say, yeah, it is a kuntak. Mind only would say, what are you talking about? Of course the sun comes up in the morning from its own side. What did Lord Buddha mean when he said things don't start? So if you're mind only, when the Buddhists start saying crazy things like this, you're going to divide them into those three categories because it makes it easier to understand him. So in your homework, when you get to what does the mind only school say about things not starting? You're going to have to say, oh, excuse me, which things are we talking about? Kuntaks, Shenwangs, and Yongdrups. Are we talking about imagined things? Are we talking about things that come from their causes, their own causes? Or are we talking about emptiness? Because he meant a different thing in each case when he said they don't start. So you have to cover all three. Do imaginary things grow? Well, let's use grow instead of start, okay? Did my conceptualization of the person named Anastasia start like this high and then go this high and then get 5.5 feet tall? You guys do meters, we do feet, sorry. No, it's a perfect idealization from the first moment that I have it. Does it come into existence? We don't say it grows. It's not like Anastasia started out this big in my mind and this big and this big and this big. Well, at the moment she's only about this big, but on the screen, right? Grow means a process of starting small and getting bigger. The thing that we call car, the thing we call pot, the thing we call school, it's a perfect little picture from the first moment of its existence. It doesn't grow. So when Lord Buddha said imaginary things don't grow, was he being literal? Put your mind only hat on. He was being literal. Kuntaks don't grow because they are not changing things. So imaginary things can't grow because they're imaginary. What about emptiness? Was he being literal when he said emptiness doesn't grow? Yes. Does emptiness get bigger or smaller? You're either 100% empty or you're not. That purple two-headed elephant, are they only halfway in my room? Either here or not, right? reality. Truth is like that. Truth is either 100% true or not. It's either A or B. You can't say it's A and a half. Emptiness itself, according to the mind-only school, could never have grown anyway because it doesn't change. So, Yongju, it doesn't grow because it's not a changing thing. Emptiness doesn't change. Can it go out of existence? Does the emptiness of this pen go out of existence when I destroy the pen, which I'm not going to do? Yeah. Does it slowly stop in stages? No, it just blinks out. Emptiness is a constant. It's unchanging. So it's interesting. Lord Buddha talks about Kuntak and Yongju, but doesn't talk about Shenwang. So for the next 2,000 years, people are wondering, why did he leave out Shenwangs? What do you think Lama Tsongkhapa says? Why did Buddha skip Shenwangs when he got to Makepas? When he said things don't grow? They do exist. They do grow. Not only do they grow in this school, they grow by definition. They 100% grow from their own side. They go through some own unique way of being on their own. They're not even a projection when they grow. They grow out there on their own. Lord Buddha would never say they didn't grow, and that's why he skipped it. The third thing Lord Buddha said in that second crazy turning of the wheel, he said, Magakpa. Say Magakpa. Magakpa. Nothing has a nature of ending. So nothing grows, nothing stops. Nothing ends. Nothing is destroyed. Nothing. So let's take a big breath, put on our middle way hat, get comfortable again. Let's go home, right? Go into that comfortable place called middle way and consider death. What did Lord Buddha mean when he said you don't die? Marikpame, marikpame, marikpa sepa mepane, gashe me, gashe sepa pardu yang mi do. He said, there is no stopping this misunderstanding. And the same is true all the way up to your old age and your death, and stopping your old age and your death. Heart Sutra. What did he mean? middle way hat. Because it's a mental projection. Yeah, you don't die independent of your projections. Your own death is your projection. And the day you die, well, you can't, I was going to say the day you die, you look down and see this dead body, but you can't really look down at that point, right? But that would be a projection. It does not have any reality of its own. And if you stop the state of mind that does have that projection, you would be in a tantric paradise and never die again. So if it's true that it's a projection, then you can change it. You can do it. So this becomes super important. We're not talking something just philosophical here. This is life or death. You don't have to die. It's a projection that you're getting older, and it's a projection that you'll die. When Lord Buddha said nothing ends, nothing has a nature of ending, Magapa, in the second turning of the wheel, what he meant was things don't end independent of your projections. Okay, now, forget the Diamond Cutter Sutra stuff, the Heart Sutra stuff. Close the door on the middle way and come back to mind only. This is how we get flexible between the two. Hey, I was just kidding when I said things didn't end. I didn't mean it. Of course things end. Let's talk about it in those three categories. So Kuhn talks. Do imaginary things end? When Lord Buddha said things don't end, what he meant about imaginary things is that they don't get old anyway. They're just in your mind. They're just imaginary. Right? When he gets to emptiness, he says, emptiness doesn't end. Is he being literal? Yeah. Emptiness doesn't get old. When the pen is destroyed, its emptiness goes out of existence. But in the final hours of the pen, does the emptiness get less empty? No. 100% empty up to the last moment of its existence. For as long as it is there, it's 100% not self-existent. It doesn't get less that way or more that way. It's always been that way. Emptiness doesn't wear out. That's what Lord Buddha said during the second turning. But what are we missing here again? We're missing Shenwang's. He skips it again. Why? Changing things do end. not only do they end in this school, they end by definition from their own side. Nothing else is necessary. No projections, no imaginations. They have their own external reality. They end because their causes stop, and they stop from their own side, through their own external reality, independent of you. So when the Heart Sutra says you don't have to die, was it figurative or literal? Literal. Todd has a mantra today, most things. To see yourself not die is extremely difficult. It takes strong, pure practice your whole life. Geshe compares it, when he was teaching this, he compared it to learning concert piano. He said you'd have to put in the same effort. And everyone in this Zoom room could become a very good concert pianist if they had a good teacher and if they took the lessons seriously and practiced enough every day. But how many people would actually do that? Right? It takes about the same seriousness to see emptiness directly. To reach a tantric paradise in this life. And the odds that we will do it are about the same as the odds of disciplining ourselves to become a concert pianist. We have the capacity in the way that everyone here has the capacity to learn to play the piano well. But whether or not we'll take it seriously enough and soon enough to do it is another question. So in the sutra, they skip Shenwangs because in this school, changing things really do end from their own side by definition. Moving right along on to number 4, say Suman Neshiwa. Suma Neshiwa. Everything is peace from the beginning. Shiva means peace or extinct. In Tibetan, it's the same thing. Like if you put out a fire, it's called Shiva. You extinguish the fire, but it also means peace. Peace is a synonym for what? Nirvana. Peace is a synonym for nirvana. And Lord Buddha, in the second turning of the wheel, when he went crazy according to the mind-only school, said nothing has any nature of its own. Nothing grows, nothing ends. Everything has been from the very beginning in a state of peace. Or, so what does that mean? To be in a state of peace? from the beginning, right? How is it like nirvana from the beginning? What does that mean when you say everything in the universe has been in a state of rest from the beginning? It means free of the negative emotion side of things. So this is a code word in Buddhism. Shiva means all the negative emotion stuff in the world is on one side and nirvana is on the other side. Okay? All those negative emotions, the things that cause negative emotions, and the things that come out of the negative emotions. Like what? Your body, your negative emotions themselves. This Zoom call, this place, is a product of negative emotions. 99.99999% of our life is tied up, is invested in either active negative emotions or the causes for your negative emotions. That is what is called the negative emotion side of things. The old word Geshe used to use was mental affliction. He doesn't use that word anymore, or those words. He says negative emotions because he felt that mental affliction doesn't really describe it as well. So I just want you to be able to hear what he's teaching these days and what it means. So then there's what they call the totally pure side of things. We have the impure side, the negative emotion side, and then we have the pure side. What are they? They're your Dharma studies, your understanding of emptiness, your renunciation, your compassion. The tiny little good side of things. Right? So Buddhism says there are two sides of things, two huge divisions. So Shiva here means peace, also extinct, meaning the bad side has stopped. Free of the bad side from the beginning. Free of the samsaric side of things, free of the suffering side of things. Did Lord Buddha mean it when he said everything was free of the negative side of reality? We have to ask, what school? What hat are we wearing? Right? Let's say mind only. Did he mean it? Again, it depends on which of the three. So let's go through it. Kuntaks are imaginary things, meaning unchanging things, like empty space, stuff like that. Are they generally free of negative emotions? Yeah, generally. We can say that they are free or extinct or at peace from the beginning, from forever, right? They have been free of negative emotions. So the Buddha was speaking figuratively or literally? Literally, yes. And again, the sutra skips the next one, and we'll come back to it. The third one, emptiness, Yongdrup, totality, the third category of the mind-only school. Is it generally speaking free or devoid of suffering things, negative things? Yes. Why? Because it's unchanging. Yongdrups are unchanging, so it fits perfectly. So Lord Buddha says, that's what I meant when I said everything was peace from the beginning. Bodhisattva, don't take it to be something wild like everything's free of negative emotion. Everything's free of negative emotion, right? Because the vast majority of things are in which category? Shenwangs, changing things, right? Generally, they are the suffering things. 99.999% of the things in our world, right? This is the truth of suffering. They are intimately connected with the chaos in our own mind, which then comes out as the chaos in our world. So our world is 99.999% a production of the chaos of our own mind. And what's the evidence of that? The bad things are bad, and the good things are changing and getting worse. And that covers everything. Phew. The last one. I don't even know what time it is. I have to. Okay. Yeah, we're going to go past an hour and a half today. We're getting there. We have this slide and two more. So hang in there. If you have to go, please go ahead and go. So this last one is kind of long. Say Rangshin, Gyongsu, Nyanyen, Ladepa. So this Nyanyen Ladepa, everything. Does anybody know what Nyanyen Ladepa means? Nyanyen is grief. Ladepa means gone beyond. It's a phrase of gone beyond grief, which is a code word for nirvana. Everything is gone beyond grief. And those of you who have studied the Diamond Cutter Sutra, you know that there's two kinds of nirvana. One is the permanent ending of your negative emotions because you saw emptiness directly. The other one is what is called natural nirvana. And what's that? It's the emptiness of all things. So that's not quite what we're going to be talking about here. We're talking about a third kind. So we're not talking about normal nirvana, which is stopping your mental afflictions, your negative emotions forever because you saw emptiness. And we're not talking about natural nirvana of things, which is their emptiness. We're talking about something slightly different. Ran Chen Gi Yong Su Nyan Yen Le Depa. Ran Shin Gi means by its very nature. Yong Su means completely. Nyan Yen means gone beyond all grief. So everything is gone beyond all grief. The last thing that Lord Buddha said when he went crazy, according to the mind only school, in which turning of the wheel? Second, was everything is beyond all grief, and that's their very nature. Everything is totally nirvana-sized. And people take it in a wrong way. They say, oh, you're already in nirvana. You just have to recognize it. Meanwhile, you're getting old. You're having root canals. You're having to put up with work year after year. And these guys are, feel good. Your real nature is pure. You just have to understand it. So what does it mean here? Again, grief here is a code word for the negative emotion side of things. Right? We just talked about it. Our negative emotions, the things created by our negative emotions, which is that big number, 99.99%, which is making new negative emotions. And it puts the wheel, keeps the wheel going, right? For a new samsara, a new suffering in the future. And the whole bad side of things is called grief here. So did Lord Buddha mean it when he said everything is beyond that? Be careful. You have to ask what school. Mind only, okay? So then what's the next question we have to ask? Okay, we're mind only. Which of the three categories are we talking about? Right? Are imaginary things like empty space or tashi basically free of negative emotions and those problems of negative emotions? Yeah, he meant what he said. He said they are free of negative emotions. Let's skip the next one. Can you say that emptiness itself is already devoid or free of negative emotion stuff? Yes, it's just neutral old emptiness. It's the lack of that two-headed purple elephant in your room at this moment. And then Lord Buddha skips number 2. Why? Because it's not free of negative emotion. The rest of your world, of my world, of our world, is not free of negative emotion. So he skips over it. So that's number 5. So now you've had all 5 of them. And then in the text, someone pulls out a quote from Arya Sangha. And that quotation says, the last 4 characterizations, the last 4 of the 5, which we just studied today, right? Doesn't grow, doesn't stop, has been a state of peace since forever, is in a state of nirvana by nature, right? Total nirvana, something like that. Those 4. They say them again. Doesn't grow, doesn't stop, has been in a state of peace since forever, and it is a state of nirvana by nature. Right? Master Asanga says, Lord Buddha meant those about all 3 categories. Lord Buddha didn't mean to skip number 2, Arya Sangha says. And then there's this debate that starts. Somebody says, Lord Buddha never mentions changing things when he talks about the last 4. Lama Tsongkhapa says he can't talk about the last 4 because they really do start from their own side. They really do stop from their own side. They really are mixed up with grief, and they really are not extinction or peace. They're totally mixed up with negative emotions. Buddha couldn't have spoken of them in those terms, right? That's what Jason Kappa says. But then Master Asanga comes along and says, Buddha meant all 3. Do we just accept that? Okay, Buddha meant all 3. But Lama Tsongkhapa says not, right? So what did he mean? We always need to question. I need to question more. I know that for sure. And I hope you do as well. Do changing things start or not? Which school? Have to ask which school, right? Mind only says it depends on causes and conditions. If the causes are there, they start. If the causes aren't there, they don't start. So we say they don't start. In a sense, you can. If you characterize it by saying from their own side. Yeah, from their own side. They don't start without their causes. So Lord Buddha also meant changing things when he said things don't start. Because when he said it about changing things, he meant they don't start without their causes. So things don't stop without their causes and conditions. They're you-kin. That's what Lord Buddha meant when he said, in the second turning of the wheel, things don't grow and don't stop. Dependent things, right? Shenwangs. And Master Asanga says he didn't say it directly, but he meant it. I admit, Master Asanga says, he didn't talk about changing things when he said nothing starts and nothing stops, but he did refer to them because what he meant to say was that they don't start on their own and they don't stop on their own. And they're not mixed up with your negative emotion stuff on their own. They're due to causes, that's all. So all four of the last four can be said to apply to shenwangs or changing things if you take them to mean without their causes. So that's the last thing that Master Sangha says. Hey, Lord Buddha was talking about all three. He just didn't say it directly. So there's a question in your homework that I want to go over. It's question number 4. And it says, how does not growing and not stopping apply to emptiness in the mind only school? We did talk about it, right? Emptiness doesn't grow. Emptiness doesn't stop. Empty comes into existence and goes out of existence when the object it applies to comes into and out of existence. The sutra gets really weird here. Lama Tsongkhapa thinks it's so weird that it's necessary for him to give an explanation of it. Emptiness doesn't grow and emptiness doesn't stop because it continues in the time of changelessness and up to the time of unshakability. It's a mouthful. It's like, what does it mean? Changelessness, and unshakability. And like me, Jason Kopp goes, Oi, have mercy on me. What does it mean? He says, come on, Lord Buddha, what are you talking about? What do you mean when you say in the time of changelessness and the time of unshakability, right? And you can read about it in your reading. But it says, that's how long emptiness continues. Emptiness continues from the time of changelessness up to the time of unshakability. And Lama Tsongkhapa is like, what kind of proof is that for emptiness doesn't grow or stop? Is that all you have to say about it, Lord Buddha? And then Lama Tsongkhapa says, by the way, and in fact, all the great commentaries from India and China say these are code words. Changelessness refers to all the time that the thing had before from the time it started. like before it became a pen. The emptiness of the pen has existed from changelessness, in the sense that the emptiness of the pen has been there since the pen began. Do you want me to say that again? Yes and no. I'll say it again. The emptiness of the pen has existed from changelessness, in the sense that the emptiness of the pen has been there since the pen began. It's just a code word for since the beginning of the thing. When the sutra says, and it's going to continue up to the time of unshakability, it's talking about all the time until the end of the pen. But thank you, Lama Tsongkhapa. Would we have ever figured that out without his help? Right. And that's the end of class for today. It's the hardest course. It's the last ACI foundation course before the review. It was saved for last. Because as I said earlier in class today, hopefully you have a really strong foundation underneath it, right? And hopefully by the time we finish this class, you will understand emptiness 10 times better than before you started this course. Yes, it's hard. Again, take Venerable Cadran's words at literally, study it with other people, chew on it together, understand it, and read it over and over again, you know? And if you're not ready to do the homework, go over, watch the video again, think about it. But please really take advantage of your fellow students and ask each other's help in trying to understand this. Remember that Geshe Michael has said you need to hear about emptiness over and over and over and over again. You need to look at it from this place and this place and that place, right? Over and over again. And you have this incredible opportunity to do that. You think I understand all of this? No. But I'll tell you something, reviewing it and teaching it helps me to understand it so much more. So I want to thank all of you, and for Natasha especially saying, would you teach this course, for helping me to understand emptiness deeper and deeper, right? So here is your meditation assignment. 15 minutes per day, careful analytical meditation on what the mind-only school means when they say that dependent things do grow and stop by definition, and what they mean when they say that constructs do not grow or stop by definition. So let's dedicate this to our being able to understand what Lord Buddha is teaching so that we can create the perfect world. In whatever language you want to say it in. I'm going to say it in English. Here is the great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Nirya Tayami. And dedicating it to our deep understanding, to our living a good life, to changing our world, to bringing peace and compassion and being peace and compassion in our world. And by the goodness of that, of what we have just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the 2 ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. I want to ask one more question before everybody leaves. 10 people have already left. Do we need to have a question and answer class? Would that be helpful? Or at least leave some time at the end of one of the classes? Yes. Okay, I'll try and figure out where to put that into the schedule. Maybe next, let's see, we're going to do classes 3 and 4. Maybe next Tuesday we do a Q&A, a week today. Now, I'm not promising I can answer the questions. I am not an Arya. I am not an enlightened being, but I will try my hardest. And we can just talk about it together. So bring the things that you're stuck on, right? Bring them and on Tuesday. And the reason I'm choosing Tuesday is because I'm going to have cataract surgery on Friday. So they said I can look at the computer for 2 hours, but I'm thinking maybe it's not such a good thing for my eyes. So let's do a Q&A on Tuesday. That means we'll have another class on the other end, but I think it's important to do that because it is such hard material. So we'll put that in the chat that we'll have a class, a Q&A on Tuesday. And otherwise, I will see you on Thursday. And thanks for struggling with this stuff. Kadrin has her hand raised. Well, yes. I can't hear you. You're muted.
I don't. Okay, thank you. I couldn't turn on my mic. Thank you very much
Okay,
for
there you go.
teaching. Thank you for teaching us. And thank you for this deep knowledge. And thank you all the interpreters.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it's hard to translate this. And thank you, tech team. Thank you, Venerable Gyelse. And please turn on your mics and say thank you in your language. If please, not Anastasia, open the mics for everyone. Could you please let people open their mics? Because
I
I'm
think
not
I'll turn my
allowed.
sound down a bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
teacher. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, all of you, for helping me to study this stuff all again. Yeah, thank you. All righty.
Спасибо.
See you soon. Bye-bye.